President Donald Trump's administration stated that it will aggressively revoke the visas of Chinese students studying in the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said in a statement, "Under President Trump's leadership, the U.S. State Department will work with the Department of Homeland Security to aggressively revoke visas for Chinese students, including those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in critical fields." Rubio added that criteria would also be revised to enhance scrutiny of future visa applicants from China and Hong Kong. Estimates show that approximately 280,000 Chinese students were studying in the United States last year. While Chinese nationals once made up the largest share of international students at U.S. universities, that dominance has declined in recent years. Factors such as pandemic-related travel restrictions and increasingly strained U.S.-China relations have contributed to the drop. In this video, Defense Updates analyzes why the Trump administration revoking visas of Chinese students is a correct decision. Before we proceed, a word on NordVPN, which is one of the most trusted and fastest VPN brand that has a no-log policy validated by Deloitte. NordVPN provides a 256-bit encrypted tunnel that protects your privacy and also enables you to access contents that are blocked based on geolocation. Its threat protection system helps you avoid phishing, scams, and malware. NordVPN application is available for all the major platforms as well as browsers. Get an exclusive NordVPN deal with massive saving by going to nordvpn.com/defense or clicking the link in the description. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Since the early 2000s, the U.S. has benefited from a wave of Chinese students in STEM, that is, science, technology, engineering, mathematics fields, many of whom stayed in the country to contribute to academia or industry. However, with China's rise as a global competitor and strategic rival, particularly in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and military technologies, U.S. national security agencies have raised alarms. The core concern isn't the students as individuals, but rather the Chinese Communist Party's CCP influence over its citizens and the legal obligations that compel cooperation with state intelligence efforts. According to China's 2017 National Intelligence Law, any organization or citizen shall support, assist, and cooperate with the state intelligence work in accordance with the law. This law blurs the line between civilian and state actors and heightens fears that even unwitting students may be conduits for data collection. According to the National Science Foundation, nearly 75% of international students in engineering and 80% in computer science come from Asia, many from China. These students often work in federally funded labs or on projects with commercial applications. A 2019 Senate report found that Chinese nationals were involved in numerous cases of intellectual property theft at institutions like Duke University, Emory University, and MD Anderson Cancer Center. Harvard's Charles Lieber case, 2020. One of the most high-profile cases involved Dr. Charles Lieber, a renowned nanoscientist and former chair of Harvard University's chemistry department. Lieber was convicted of lying to federal authorities about his involvement with the TTP and failing to disclose payments from Wuhan University of Technology. Although not a Chinese student, the case spotlighted how Chinese institutions recruit top U.S. scientists, sometimes through student and academic channels, to gain access to cutting-edge research. Xin Wang, Chinese researcher at UCSF, 2020. Xin Wang, a researcher at the University of California, San Francisco, and a Chinese military officer, was arrested while attempting to return to China with biological samples. He falsely claimed to be a student and misrepresented his military affiliation. His arrest was part of a broader sweep in which multiple Chinese nationals were found to be hiding their ties to the People's Liberation Army. Huawei and academic collaboration. Huawei, China's tech giant, has long-standing relationships with Chinese universities and has sponsored research at several U.S. institutions. While not illegal, these ties have raised red flags due to Huawei's links to the Chinese government. U.S. officials have expressed concerns that student researchers affiliated with Huawei or Chinese military institutions may have access to sensitive technologies developed in the U.S. In one case, 3 researchers at MD Anderson were ousted for failing to disclose ties to Chinese institutions and for transferring research materials and intellectual property. These violations were uncovered not through traditional espionage methods, but through email audits and NIH grant disclosures, revealing how widespread and difficult to detect such activities can be. Chinese students have also been caught in espionage activities. On July 23, 2024, South Korea announced the apprehending of 3 Chinese students for illegally filming the 100,000-ton USS Theodore Roosevelt supercarrier with a drone when it was docked near the Busan operational base of the Naval Operations Command in Yongho-dong. In July 2024, Xu Fengyun, a 26-year-old graduate student from the University of Minnesota, pleaded guilty to misdemeanor espionage charges for photographing U.S. military infrastructure with a drone. Prosecutors stated that Xu flew a drone near the Newport News shipyard in Virginia on January 6th, capturing images of U.S. naval vessels equipped with classified systems still in the design process. China has been trying hard to gain a technological advantage over the U.S. and its allies by any means possible. The special focus seems to be on military tech. Over the years, China has persistently targeted the U.S. with sophisticated cyber attacks. China obtained more than 50 terabytes of data from U.S. defense and government networks, notably the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter stealth, radar, and engine secrets through cyber espionage. The NSA estimated that the Chinese had conducted more than 30,000 cyber attacks as part of the massive defense industrial espionage, and that more than 500 attacks were significant intrusions in the Department of Defense (DoD) systems. More than 1,600 network computers were penetrated, and at least 600,000 user accounts were compromised by Chinese cyberspying. In all, the NSA concluded that the Chinese compromised key components of the F-35. In 2022, it was discovered that China tried to recruit British pilots. A spokesperson for the UK's Ministry of Defense, who spoke to the New York Times under the customary condition that he not be named, told the New York Times that China had offered lucrative contracts to draw in Britain's former military pilots, with salaries of about $270,000 a year. The British official said the Chinese recruiting effort has been ongoing since even before the coronavirus pandemic in 2020, but said their efforts have ramped up in recent months. The influx of Chinese students to American universities has become a complex issue at the intersection of education, national security, and geopolitics. While the vast majority are law-abiding scholars, a small subset, either under direct orders or through coerced compliance, poses legitimate concerns. The challenge for the U.S. is to craft policies that target specific risks without undermining the broader values of openness and academic freedom. As global competition intensifies, managing this balance will be crucial for protecting both American innovation and democratic ideals.